Have you ever tried to truly master something? I mean, really go all in. You think that the more you learn, the more of an expert you become, right? But what if the opposite were true? Today, we're going to dig into this really strange, really powerful idea that on any true path of growth, the further you go, the closer you get to feeling like a beginner all over again. And this quote just nails it. No matter how far we travel, we remain eternal beginners. It's this beautiful, mind-bending idea that progress isn't about checking boxes or reaching some finish line. It's about slowly, gradually realizing just how vast, how infinite the path ahead of you really is. So that's the big question, isn't it? It feels like a total riddle. How can decades of hard work, of real, tangible achievement, make you feel like you're right back at square one? Well, let's see if we can unravel this thing. Okay, so the key to cracking this paradox lies in a concept called the eternal beginner's mind. And it's the idea that embracing this beginner mindset, being open and curious, it isn't a step backward. It's actually a sign of the deepest understanding you can possibly have. This really flips the whole idea of humility on its head. See, it's not about thinking less of yourself or downplaying your skills. It's the exact opposite. It's what happens when your vision gets so big that you can finally see the true scale of what's possible. You know that old saying, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know? Well, that feeling, that is the eternal beginner's mind. And you have to understand, this isn't just some nice philosophical idea. It's a fundamental truth. I mean, just think about it for a second. If consciousness itself is infinite, how could any one of us ever claim to have mastered it? It's impossible. Every door you manage to open just reveals a hallway with 1,000 more doors. And that perspective, that humility, is so crucial because it protects you from the trap of spiritual pride, and it keeps you open, curious, and always ready to learn. Okay, so if the path is infinite, does that mean progress is just some kind of illusion? That you're not actually getting anywhere? Not at all. It turns out you can measure the immeasurable. So let's look at some real, tangible milestones you can find on a journey that, never actually ends. So here's one way to picture it, using what some call dragon milestones. And just look at this timeline. We are talking decades of dedication. You might start with something as fundamental as your breath becoming second nature. 30 years later, it's about perceiving an inner light. And then after 50 plus years, wow, the feeling of you meditating just dissolves. It's not you doing it anymore. These are very real, very profound attainments. And this slingshots us right back to that central paradox. Reaching one of these incredible milestones isn't the end of the road. It's like climbing a massive mountain. You finally get to the peak, exhausted but triumphant, and you look out, only to see an entire range of even higher peaks you never even knew existed. The accomplishment is absolutely real, but so is that humbling, awe-inspiring view of the infinite road ahead. And as you hit these milestones, something else really fascinating starts to happen. Your whole idea of what the goal is, it starts to transform. It stops being about getting to some specific destination, and it becomes much more about how you experience the journey, moment by moment by moment. I absolutely love this distinction. Early on, you might be chasing that lightning bolt experience, something intense, dramatic, a total knockout. But it's temporary. The real goal, the more mature path, is more like sunlight, a constant, gentle, nourishing presence that just becomes part of your everyday life. The point isn't to get a temporary escape from life, but to be fully and constantly present in it. So how do you even begin to cultivate that sunlight state? Well, it comes down to the one thing you're always doing, breathing. Each and every breath can become this tiny cycle of practice. You inhale, you pause, you exhale, you rest in the space. And when you think about that on a grand scale, over 50 years, that's something like 400 million breaths. 400 million tiny steps toward dissolving that boundary between you and everything else. Which brings us to our final, and maybe the most surprising piece of this whole puzzle. It seems that all of this profound growth, all this spiritual maturity, it's all about returning to a state of simple, profound innocence. Now, when we say childlike, it is so important not to confuse that with being childish or immature. We're talking about these very specific, powerful qualities: wonder, trust, playfulness, openness. This isn't about going backward. It's about reclaiming a very sophisticated and potent form of wisdom. So, to put it plainly, The path isn't meant to make you childish, naive or irresponsible. No, it's meant to make you childlike. It's this beautiful idea of wisdom that has circled back to simplicity. You have all the experience and depth of an adult, but you learn to see the world again with the open heart and the fresh eyes of a child. All right, let's bring all these threads together. What does it really mean to walk an infinite path, to embrace these contradictions, and to joyfully, wholeheartedly accept the role of the eternal beginner? So in the end, you're left with these sacred contradictions. And these aren't signs of failure, they are the absolute hallmarks of true progress. You've come so far that you can finally see how infinite the journey is. You've gained so much wisdom that you've returned to a state of humble not knowing. That beautiful, perfect balance is the infinite path. And so we'll end with this final thought. It's such a powerful reminder that the goal was never to finish the journey, but to fall completely in love with the journey itself. The fact that the adventure never ever ends isn't a limitation. It's the greatest gift there is, because on this path, the wonder truly never ends.